I'm feeling much better now that the ladies have safely returned from their brief space adventure. What was it? 10 minutes up there? Honestly, it was painfully cringeworthy. Hey, look at us. We're rich, glamorous, and floating in space. Applaud us. Katy Perry literally leapt out of the spacecraft and kissed the ground in a moment so awkward, the internet couldn't help but roast her for it. Let's be real. It was more like a glorified roller coaster ride. Oh, it was so deep and meaningful, they say. If you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, you'd think she had just unlocked the secrets of the universe. She's practically a spiritual leader now. Now, don't get me wrong, we should celebrate women in space. But let's not forget, there have already been trailblazing female astronauts. This isn't that. And honestly, if Katy Perry broke into song while I was stuck in the vacuum of space, I'd be seriously tempted to pull the plug myself. I found myself wondering, what exactly did they accomplish? To me, the whole thing felt patronizing, almost like it was diminishing the achievements of real women. And it wasn't just them. Plenty of people in the media made complete fools of themselves during the whole spectacle. Oprah Winfrey, for instance, actually teared up watching the all-female crew take off into space. She called it one of the most amazing feats ever for mankind. All this over an 11-minute flight that was hyped up as some divine act of feminine empowerment. Honestly, it felt less like one small stroke of womankind and more like a giant leap backward for mankind. You'd think space travel is still reserved for scientists, engineers, and fearless astronauts, right? Not anymore. Nowadays, the new face of space exploration isn't a NASA veteran, it's a celebrity with a PR team. Before liftoff, she said she needed to go to space to heal. And just minutes after landing, I feel deeply connected to love, to goodness. I'll never be the same. Right, because nothing says personal growth like a 10-minute joyride above the atmosphere. These are the same folks who wear couture to pick up almond milk, and now they're taking life-changing, life's gay, space vacations. Space used to be about breaking limits and discovering the unknown. Now, it's about snagging the perfect selfie while floating in zero gravity. But don't worry, they're still out here changing the world. Right after uploading their next sponsored post, of course. I've had so many people reach out and say, if you can do it, maybe I can too. And the most ironic part, she actually claimed women and girls told her, I didn't even know this was an option. Apparently, inspiration now comes with a first-class ticket to the stratosphere. You know how I know that didn't happen, Megan? Because it's not something just anyone can do, unless you happen to be besties with Jeff Bezos. Their big, empowering message? Take up space. Honestly, some of you are already taking up plenty, and here's the kicker. When even other celebrities start roasting you, maybe it's time to reconsider the mission. The recent all-female Blue Origin trip, with names like Katy Perry, Gayle King, and a few more A-listers, didn't just get side-eyes from the public. Even folks in the entertainment world were rolling their eyes. That launch this morning, it felt like a sign of the apocalypse. You can't make this stuff up. What even was the PR plan here? I'm not even joking, I'm genuinely grossed out. You know it's a mess when even fellow celebrities start clowning on you. That kind of star-on-star shade is rare, but we're seeing it unfold in real time. Olivia Wilde couldn't resist and reposted the image of Katy Perry kissing the ground like she'd just returned from Apollo 13. The drama? Unmatched. Let's be real, it costs an insane amount of money to take a joyride into space. Meanwhile, some people are out here struggling to buy eggs. So what exactly are they accomplishing up there that's supposed to help us back on Earth? Even Amy Schumer jumped in, roasting the whole thing with a sarcastic twist. They threw me on the rocket last minute. I had my bag, I was on the subway, and I get this text like, hey, want to go to space? She even joked about packing snacks like she was headed to a picnic, not orbit. So apparently, Katy Perry brought a flower with her. And yes, she actually sang What a Wonderful World while floating around in zero gravity. She really did that. Honestly, if I had been one of the chosen few on that mission, I might have just taken my chances with the vacuum of space. Like, do I let myself drift off into the abyss or do a full-speed nosedive back to Earth and go out in a blaze of glory? Plenty of dramatic options either way. Even Martha Stewart couldn't help but throw some shade. She dug up an old clip of herself doing zero gravity on a Boeing 727, just to remind everyone she did it first, and cooler. And to make it extra spicy, she paired it with a Katy Perry lyric. Classic Martha. Gotta love her for that. It's gotten to the point where it feels like everyone is roasting this mission. At this stage, it's basically open season. When your own industry colleagues, those who know the ropes and get the subtleties, start questioning your actions, it's a pretty strong signal that things might have gone off course. Take Gayle King, for example. She had some words for us about how we clearly didn't understand the gravity of her heroic journey. Gayle's big thing, don't you dare call it a ride. It's a journey, she made sure to emphasize, so you better respect that distinction. Please don't call it a ride. It wasn't a freaking ride. Whenever a man goes up, no one calls it a ride. It's called a flight. It's called a journey. Her point? A ride sounds too light, too casual, something fun and frivolous. But, according to Gayle, what they did was no joke. It was all about breaking barriers and inspiring women and young girls. So in her eyes, nothing frivolous about it. She wants us to remember that. Let's take a look at how it all went down aboard the Blue Origin spacecraft. Sound effect. With my daisy. I got you, Flynn. Gayle took to social media, throwing what could only be described as a virtual tantrum at anyone daring to downplay her 10-minute trip. But here's the twist. She wasn't just defending her actions. Oh no, she was on a mission to preach about how deeply inspirational this experience was, especially for women and young girls. Because clearly there's no greater symbol of empowerment than floating weightlessly in space for a few minutes, only to come back with an even bigger dose of self-love. These women have taken it to a whole new level. The montage of them basking in their achievement is, well, let's just say it's a little dark. It's like death, and I'm so proud of us. I really am proud of me. Flowers for me. I brought a daisy because it represents my daughter Daisy, and of course, my deep love for Mother Earth. And you know what? If I can do this, I was telling these guys maybe I'll even get my ears pierced. I've never done it because, well, it hurts. I hope they can see the unity we modeled, and I hope they understand we weren't just taking up space, we were making space. Is it surviving intense training, passing countless tests, and possibly risking your life to push humanity's understanding of space? Or is it simply having enough money to buy a ticket to space, snapping a selfie, and suddenly calling yourself an explorer? Honestly, these are the real questions that need to be addressed, because the public's reaction to these so-called space tourists is, well, nothing short of comedic. Take Katy Perry, for example. She's not technically an astronaut because none of the people in that capsule actually did anything to operate it. The entire journey was remotely controlled. Sure, it was impressive. They experienced a very, very expensive roller coaster ride in the sky. Lauren Sanchez also found herself emotional over the experience. 6 women just did the same flight that, she said, fighting back tears. I just want to keep hugging you. The flight mirrored Alan Shepard's historic journey from 1961, the first American in space. Yet, no one's celebrating these celebrities recreating that trajectory 60 years later. We honor the pioneers, the ones who made history. Gayle insists she didn't just take a ride, but let's be real, she did. She went on a ride in a remotely piloted spacecraft, and then she says, anyone who denies my achievement is sexist. Meanwhile, real astronauts are out there doing the hard work, carrying out critical missions in space. These celebrities, though, they're busy pouting in selfies, flashing peace signs, and staring into the camera like they're the stars of a 90s music video. If you didn't know better, you might think they were saving the planet, not just enjoying an 11-minute luxury trip on a billionaire's private rocket. Earth looked it was so quiet. It was just quiet. And now we're supposed to applaud this as some groundbreaking achievement for women? Is the new frontier for female empowerment really just dating a billionaire and getting a free ride to space? It's belittling to women. And let's just take a moment to focus on the fact that Gayle King actually called herself an astronaut. Really? You were on a vanity project funded by Jeff Bezos and his fiancée. They got into their custom Oscar de la Renta suits, laid down in a capsule, and in 10 minutes they were back on Earth. And what did they do up there? They admired the universe, and what they expected was for us to admire the fact that they were wealthy and famous enough to experience this utterly shallow journey from which they took away absolutely nothing. And then there's Lauren Sanchez. She turned her space trip into a girl power moment, throwing in a shout out while floating through space. I don't think you can describe it, she mused. It was like quiet, but also really alive. The sheer narcissism of these moments is mind-boggling. As the Earth shrank beneath them, they were too busy thinking about how they were changing the world with a 10-minute flight into space. Oh, the humanity. Let's be real. You're only on this trip because you're Jeff Bezos' girlfriend. And this was the pinnacle of their training, the one thing they were preparing for, becoming a crew, becoming a team. But what did they actually train for? Well, the grand total of their training was learning how to buckle their seatbelts. And guess what they did during their 2-day training session? Their big task was practicing how to get into and out of the New Shepard capsule. Incredible. Truly groundbreaking stuff. And of course, the internet had an absolute field day with this. Social media, as always, became the battleground for these astronauts, and critics didn't hold back. You've got to hand it to the internet. They don't mince words. Jokes were flying about how the only thing orbiting in space was their egos. The mockery was endless. But here's the best part. Instead of just taking it in stride, these so-called astronauts doubled down, getting defensive and lecturing the public. Because, of course, no one's allowed to criticize them unless they've been to space, right, Gayle? "We are the taking up space crew," Gayle proudly declared. "There's 6 of us, all women. It's a historical flight because it's the first time that all women have been to space." Wait, let's pause. The accomplishment of Blue Origin is that Katy Perry went to space? Do you get the difference here? The achievement wasn't about these women. They didn't do anything. They could not have possibly done less on this 11-minute flight. But sure, they're the future of space travel. Women everywhere will look back on this moment and say, we've come a long way. It's space tourism. And the fact they're trying to sell it as some monumental achievement is honestly laughable. Yeah, the first all-female flight crew, which is, by the way, a flight crew. That's like me calling myself part of the crew because I went on Soarin' at Disney World. Oh, and did you know I'm also a paranormal investigator? I've been on the Haunted Mansion at Disney World like 6 times, so I guess I'm an expert now. Space travel is quickly turning into the ultimate playground for billionaires who are bored with Earth and just want to show off. If you've got the money or the right connections, it's less about pushing the limits of human exploration and more about seeing how big of a PR stunt you can pull off. Maybe next, they'll all take a trip to the moon to see who can look the most enlightened in a spacesuit. Neil Armstrong did it. Why not Katy Perry? First woman to walk on the moon, right? Honestly, it feels like they handpicked a few friends for this trip. It should have been a lottery system like Willy Wonka where 7 random people get to go. Imagine the chaos. Some guy who's not even supposed to be there. Just a cashier at H-E-B. Maybe someone from MS-13. Yeah, that's exactly what crossed my mind. Get them in. Maybe someone from Trinagua. Throw in Lauren Sanchez and Gayle King. And next time, how about not pretending you're opening new doors for women? Like it had any real impact. You paid for a billionaire's luxury roller coaster ride. You didn't make history. It's just nonstop self-promotion. Like that's something any woman should look up to. But hey, what do I know? I'm just hoping I can afford a carton of eggs. They're out here empowering women all over the world. Meanwhile, I'm just a schmuck. See you tomorrow for another.